We have discovered that neurons can form synapses with lung cancer cells and stimulate their proliferation. Small cell lung cancer is one of the most aggressive types of lung cancer. At diagnosis, most patients already have metastases in other organs, and at this stage the therapeutic options are quite limited. It is heavily researched here in Cologne, and our project began in the laboratory of Christian Reinhardt with a genetic screen using tumors from animal models. The results were puzzling because they showed genes involved in the nervous system. We kept reanalyzing the data and we thought there was a mistake. Eventually, we also analyzed data from human patients, and we had the same results. In particular, genes involved in synapses seem to be very important. And this led to the crazy idea that neurons can communicate with cancer cells through synapses. We knew what a synapse is from our training, but that was about it. We needed help from neuroscientists.
So a synapse is the finest structure in biology. This is where information flows within the brain. And normally it entails two different neurons. The first one is packing into vesicles neurotransmitter, which are biologically active molecules that are released into the space in between the neurons and enable the transmission of the information. But these structures are very small. We cannot see them with our regular eyes, which is the reason why we resort to electron microscopy as well as super resolution microscopy to see them. And we also engineer our cancer cells to glow red to be able to track them once they were injected into the brain. And when we open up this brain, this is where the surprise arrived, because cancer cells were not just sitting there. They were actually forming through synaptic contact with the neurons. And not just that, they were growing much faster than they would normally do. This is what I would call as a scientist the eureka moment, because this is the moment in time that you really make a big discovery, but at the same time, that moment is also what is changing your point of view and also the way you address cancer in a completely different way.
So I think that the way the story developed really exemplifies the importance and the need to merge different expertises from different fields, in this case the oncology field and the neuroscience field. And so when our colleagues from the clinic, they came out to us with these genetic screenings, to be honest, at the beginning we were a little bit skeptical, until we started to perform the first experiments. And so we put the cancer cells in culture with the neurons and recorded electrophysiologically from the cancer cells. And what we saw is that actually they receive synaptic inputs, so they talk and communicate with the neurons. And that was the time when we realized truly the relevance of our findings. And so for us, basic scientists, myself and my group, these were quite exciting findings because they open up a new dimension in the biology of cancer cells. At the same time, for clinicians and patients, I imagine that this is actually quite frightening because it reveals a way by which the cancer cells hijack the nervous system to promote disease progression.
If the communication with neurons can stimulate cancer growth, then we can target it. We can find new drugs that target the communication, but we can also investigate existing drugs, for example from neurology and psychiatry. They are specifically designed to target neurons, they are safe and approved, and we can now test whether they can help in the fight against lung cancer.